friends, it's Em. Welcome back to my channel. As I am filming this intro in particular, it is only January 22nd, but this video is our January wrap up, our February prep, and I have a little bit of an announcement, so just hang tight, we'll get to that in a minute. As for our January reading wrap up, before I get into that, because I still have quite a few days to finish what I am currently reading, so let's go over what I am currently reading right now. For starters, of course, we have already started Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros because this came out yesterday. Well, my yesterday. By the time this video comes out, this book will have been out for about a week and a half. I already know that there are going to be spoilers, so I'm trying to read this as fast as I can. I'm not reading it very quickly, but once I have some time to sit down and do other activities like maybe crochet, or if I have to drive, I can also listen to the audiobook in the car. Next, I am reading Legend by Marie Lu. This is my book club book with my friend Kat. We roll a dice to see what the genre is going to be, or maybe what the author's last name is going to start with, or how many pages the book needs to be. We ended up rolling for all three just to see if we could narrow it down, and turns out between the two of us, we've read so many books that it was a little too narrow. We couldn't find anything. So, not to say that there weren't books out there, but we just didn't want to put that much energy into looking for a book club book, you know? So we rolled for dystopian, and we just decided, you know what, we both have not read the Legend series, so let's pick up the first one and see what we think. So I am doing an annotated read of this because it is for a book club. Because I knew nothing about this book going in, we only have 3 annotation tabs worth of talking about. Which is quotes, world building, and other, or like things that made me think or feel. I am currently on page 100. I do need to finish this one because this is for January, and then when February rolls around, we're picking a new book, baby. I feel like I have been reading this book forever, but I am currently reading Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I finally got more into it when I had to drive for 3 hours one day and decided just to listen to it on audiobook. It's still only a solid 3-star read for me. I think the found family was just much stronger in Six of Crows. The mission that they were on was just a little bit more fast-paced and exciting. And we get to learn a lot more about some of our other characters, including like Waylon and Jesper, which I love. And I love that there's a little slow burn for them in here. But just as an overall, it moves a little bit slower than Six of Crows does, and it's just not my favorite of the duology. I will finish it. I am currently on page 363, and I want to finish this month, mostly just for the fact that I don't want to read this anymore. It's not a bad book, it's just not what I want to read right now, but I've been on and off trying to finish this book ever since I picked it up in, I think it was December. I picked this for the December read, I think, as part of my TBR. In a minute, I'm going to talk about our little special announcement thing that I'm going to do. Jasper, he's snoring. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but he's snoring pretty loud. He's a little pit bull, so when he sleeps, he snores. I was about to say, wow, he's so quiet, and then as soon as a word came out of my mouth. Anyways, for the sake of editing and just making everything smooth, we're now going to talk about what we finished reading in January. Okay, hi. So it is now January 29th. I can't quite even remember what I filmed a couple days ago, but that's fine. I know that we're supposed to be doing a reading wrap up for January, so let's talk about what I've read in January. Starting off with The Book Thief. This was such a heavy book and I enjoyed it so much, but it took me so long to get through it because the content was so heavy and so heartfelt, and it just, I felt a lot of things, and so it took me a while to get through it, but I did finish it. 5 out of 5 stars, would highly recommend to everyone. This is a great book to read. Next, I read The Screaming Staircase by Jonathan Stroud. This is the first book in the Lockwood & Co. series, and this is my first time ever reading the Lockwood & Co. series, and I am officially a major fan of the Lockwood & Co. series. I'm currently watching the show right now with my friend Allie, who recommended this series to me, and we're having a blast. I am obsessed. I really want them to bring that show back because I'm loving it so much. 5 out of 5 stars also, by the way. 5 out of 5. This was my favorite book in the entire series. Then we went on to reading The Whispering Skull, and this was a 4 out of 5 stars for me. However, this is when we get to meet my favorite character in the entire series, and I love Skull so much. I love him and everything that he is. Next is The Hollow Boy, and this one I also rated 4 out of 5 stars. I was absolutely devastated how Lucy's path diverted from Lockwood & Co., but I knew that I should keep reading because there are 2 other books in the series. So don't worry. It's kind of a spoiler alert, but also these books have been out forever, so 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Creeping Shadow. This is the 4th book in the series, and I also rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. This one honestly was almost a 3.75 solely because I was just waiting for Lucy to rejoin Lockwood & Co. the entire time, and it was a nice slow burn of rejoining Lockwood & Co. It was very nicely done. It was well written, but all I wanted was Lucy to be back at Lockwood & Co. And then finally, The Empty Grave. I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. This was absolutely, it just blew me out of the water. I was not entirely thrown by the ending. You could tell it was supposed to be this big plot twist ending, but they did get most of it right. And so if you were following along and trying to solve the puzzle with them, you could kind of figure it out, but there was a twist, and I was definitely like, overall, this series honestly is so great if you are looking for a cozy, spooky, paranormal series. I don't do scary, and this was just the right amount of spooky. Enough that, like, I didn't like walking around in the dark after reading this, but I could still go to sleep, and I didn't have to watch cartoons. That is officially, by the way, my new favorite comfort series. I am obsessed with Lockwood & Co., in case it's not obvious. And then for Cats and My Book Club, we read Legend by Marie Lu, and unfortunately this was just a 3-star for me. I did annotate it. There were parts where I was like, oh, this is really great, but overall the characters didn't really have their own individual voices. Like, they kind of meshed together between I think it's June and Day, and I just overall felt like I've already read this book. You know, like, this, it's not entirely original. It's your standard dystopian with a little bit of romance, and I was like, oh, been there. If I was in middle school, I think I would have eaten this book up and rated it like a 4 or 5 stars, but as an adult, the writing just wasn't quite there for me, and honestly, I don't think it's intended for adults. This is definitely like a YA book, but there are YA books that read very well for adults, and The Lockwood & Co. is a middle reader, and that read insanely good. My point is, this just wasn't really it for me, so what a way to start a book club with a 3-star. I would recommend it for the right reader. And then I read Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This, honestly, I had been on and off reading this particular one. Finally finished it. I liked the first one better because it was much more action-packed, and like, we learned about the characters within that action, whereas there were a lot of, you know, flashbacks and character growth in this one, which is great. Because I had such a big gap between reading Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, I don't think I was as attached to the characters, and so some of the flashbacks I was like, oh, that's sad, or oh, that makes sense, but can we speed it along? Like, there was a section, a Wylan chapter, and I think the chapter was like 50 minutes on audiobook, and I was like, this is not necessary. Like, poor Wylan. Honestly, we learned a lot about Wylan because this book does have a lot to do with, like, his relationship with his dad, how his dad is, like, a really bad guy. They're trying to overthrow his dad's empire, basically. I give this a 4 out of 5 stars, though, because I gave it, like, a 3.7, but on Goodreads, it's 4. Because I do think that this is a good book, and I would recommend this for the right reader, and I think that I will be coming back to this and trying to do a reread of the duology, like, back to back, to see if that changes my perspective on the book. But as of this month and right now, I just gave it a solid, like, 3.75. And last night I finished Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, and I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars, although I have to say I was definitely confused for parts of the book. There were some characters that I don't remember, or maybe they were introduced in this book, and then there were characters that were introduced at the very end, or like they changed their names, or there was plot twists. Anyways, I was a little confused. And then the ending, the last chapter, I'm gonna try to say this without spoiling it, but what happened? What? I'm as confused as Violet, and if you know, you know. I ended up Googling like Onyx Storm ending explained to see if anybody else knew what was going on, and truth be told, I think the answer is no. People don't really like concretely know what's going on. It was definitely this massive cliffhanger that we're missing a lot of information. So we can't fully fill in the gaps, but we can try and guess based off of like other information that's been scattered throughout the book. 4 out of 5 stars. I know that when the next book comes out, I'm going to have to do a reread of the entire series, which I'm sort of looking forward to, but also not. I mean, I just recently read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, so it'll be at least a year before I have to reread all of these. And finally, last night, I started and finished the first book in the Heartstopper series. I have already read this, but I wanted to do a reread because it has been a while, and on the first day of I am reading the rest of the Heartstopper series. I'm kind of just doing a quick graphic novel read through. I wanted to just make sure I remembered what was happening in the first book. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars again. I agreed with my last rating, which was also 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That is everything that I read in January. I absolutely loved the Lockwood & Co. series. I started watching that show this week. I am now officially a Save Lockwood & Co. fan. Like, please bring that show back. It is amazing. Okay, that leads us to our little announcement. I am setting a challenge for myself. I am doing the 100 books in 100 days challenge. And it starts on February 1st. So by the time this video comes out, it started yesterday. I'm so excited for this. I wanted to start this challenge because I've started to feel like I was in a reading slump, and having a competition for myself kind of gets me out of a slump sometimes. So we're doing that. I'm also doing it to expand my horizons when reading. I am not the biggest fan of graphic novels, but I have to wonder if it's just because I haven't read graphic novels that I've loved. I want to start getting into more short stories and novellas. I have already created a list of some of the books that I want to read, and I am not done yet. I still have, I think, 10 or 12 books that I need to add to this list, but I will go over the list in a minute. On that list as well are books that I didn't get to read in school, like 1984, Fahrenheit 451, Animal Farm, the classics and the politicals, and just the reads. Well, I think they're banned. Some of them are banned now in school, which is probably why I didn't get a chance to read them. But I want to go ahead and read them. It's part of the expanding my horizons. Graphic novels are on there, novellas. This is also my opportunity to finish series. I am in the middle of a billion series, and so this is my opportunity to finish them. But 100 books in 100 days is going to be an interesting challenge. I have my own concerns going into this challenge. That 1, this might ruin reading for me. 2, I am going to start having higher expectations of myself next year when I look back on my reading goal and see that I've read X number of books and it was so much higher than normal. But I have to also remember that graphic novels, poetry, that's another one. I want to read more poetry. But graphic novels, poetry, that's gonna go by a little bit faster than if I'm reading a 600-page romantasy or, a 400-page dystopian. It's gonna go by quicker than that. So I have to keep that in mind. I'm also a little worried about the stress that I might be putting on myself a little bit, and this is just my own reminder of I chose this. If it makes me hate reading, then I need to stop. We're not going to continue the challenge, but I do want to finish the challenge as well. First of all, just to say that I did it, but also, again, so that I can expand my horizons and really kind of get to know myself more as a reader and step out of my fantasy, romance, dystopian, fiction comfort bubble. I love them very much, but they're all kind of the same. I have my concerns, but I'm also extremely excited for this challenge. And I will be posting updates as well pretty regularly on my social media. So go follow me on Instagram if you want to see updates on the 100 book challenge. Go check out my Goodreads. I keep that pristinely updated. I am on top of my Goodreads. I update that thing every 4 hours. So if you want timely, pristine updates, go to my Goodreads. Go follow me on Goodreads. Let's be friends. We have a couple things that we need to get done in this video, one of which is setting up our February bullet journal spreads, which I'm so excited because I'm doing a Laura Jean Covey like romance theme. Wow, I feel like that was such a rant. I'm like, woohoo! I'm on something today. I don't know what. Life. Anywho, so we have that. We're also going to go to the library. Last night when I started creating my list, oh, I still need to read you guys the list. I did go ahead and start placing holds on certain like graphic novels and series just so that I would have them. One of which being the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire. I've also put on hold the Heartstopper series. And I also went ahead and put on hold the Tea Dragon Society, which is a middle readers graphic novel series, but I've seen so many adults read them and enjoy them, and I'm very excited because it is a graphic novel about little dragons and they like tea and they go on adventures. It is a trilogy. There are 3 in the series, and so I've put all 3 of those on hold. I have a couple audiobooks that I'm waiting to get back on Libby. Let me go grab my computer so we can talk about the list of 100 books. This is gonna be such a long video. Oh my goodness. Thanks for sticking around. Grab some tea, coffee, get cozy. Okie dokie. I have 92 books, so I was wrong. I only have 8 more books. I will read these in no particular order, by the way. This is just a list that I have compiled. At number 1, we have Women by Chloe Caldwell. Then we have Under One Roof by Ellie Hazelwood. We have books 2 through 5 of the Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. We have the entire Anne of Green Gables series by J.M. Montgomery. I never finished the Percy Jackson series as a kid, the original. So I have put the entire Percy Jackson, The Hero of Olympus series on here by Rick Riordan. Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. The Messengers by Lindsay Joel. Cut and Run by Ben Acker and Ben Blacker. Alone with the Stars by David R. Gilham. Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Tanika Jones by Matt Boren. Alice by Christina Henry. I'm actually super pumped about that. The Wayward Children 3 through 10 by Seanan McGuire. Valiant and Ironside by Holly Black. Meet Me at the Museum by Anne Youngson. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Caraval, Legendary, Spectacular, and Finale. All by Stephanie Garber. I've read The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, but I have not read The Night Country by Melissa Albert. And I don't remember what happened in The Hazelwood, so I gotta go reread that. But luckily that's just a duology. We have Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Wonder by R.J. Palacio. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. 1984 by George Orwell. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. The Selected Poems of Emily Dickinson. Cazadora by Romina Garber. The Shadow and Bone Trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. The Jane Austens that I own and have not read yet, so Emma, Persuasion, and Sense and Sensibility. The Pages to Fill and Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. Raven Cycle, Dream of Thieves, Blue, Lily, Lily, Blue, and The Raven King, all by Maggie Stiefvater. We have Animal Farm by George Orwell. The Tea Dragon Society, all 3 by Kay O'Neill. The Home Office Romance by Kintetsu Yamada. Dead Poet Society by N.H. Kleinbaum and Tom Schulman. Killjoy by Holly Jackson. Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. And because I start this in February, I know I'm going to want to do my reread of the To All the Boys series, so that is in here as well. What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson and Jonathan Lethem. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. The Little Prince. I found a new series while doom scrolling on Goodreads. It is called The Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. And there are 7 in that series, all of which are novellas except for number 4, I think, or is it number 5? One of them is like a full novel. Starter Villain by John Scalzi and The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Naivo. So that is 92 books that I have on my little handy dandy list. We have plenty to read. I do have a bit of a game plan for this particular reading challenge, and that is read a bunch of graphic novels in one day. Like do a 24-hour readathon of graphic novels. The poor people at the library who just put like 20 books on hold for me. I'm so sorry. I promise I'll bring them back in time. So now that we've gone through our January reading wrap up, we've talked about the 100 books challenge, which because I'm doing that challenge, of course I'm not going to be doing a February TBR. I hope that that's obvious, because that's part of the February TBR and the March and April and part of May TBR. So we're set. We won't be pulling from the mug anytime soon, unfortunately. Now let's do our journal, the bullet journaling for February. Alrighty, you guys, now that our bullet journal is complete, that does conclude everything that I had planned for this video. So, of course, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please show it some love by giving it a thumbs up or hitting that subscribe button down below. As always, I will be posting my socials in the description box so you can follow me there, especially for updates now on the 100 Books in 100 Days challenge. Wish me luck. Okay, my friends, as always, please remember to take care of yourselves and be kind to one another, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!